The year 1976 contained a musical secret the industry has tried to erase for decades. I am revealing the 8 reggae albums that created a spiritual revolution. Their true impact was deliberately hidden from the public. You must stick around until the end, because the final album's hidden message changed the course of music history forever. Peter Tosh sat cross-legged among the tall green stalks of the sacred herb, his eyes fierce with conviction, his dreadlocks glistening in the afternoon sun that poured through the open fields. He wasn't just recording an album, he was waging a holy war. Legalize. It wasn't born in a studio, it was born in defiance. Every note, every word, every echo was a punch at Babylon's hypocrisy. When Tosh sang, it wasn't merely for entertainment. It was for liberation. The sharp scent of the herb he so proudly praised filled the air as he recorded with Rita Marley, Judy Mowat, and Bunny Wailer harmonizing in the background. Robbie Shakespeare's bass line groaned like the heartbeat of rebellion, and Carlton Barrett's drums crashed like thunder against the walls of injustice. Legalize. It was more than an album. It was a weapon wrapped in melody. Its cover, with Tosh seated unrepentant amidst the plant that Babylon criminalized, became a global statement. And when he chanted, "I man know what I want," the entire world heard the voice of a man who refused to be tamed. Meanwhile, in another corner of the island, Bunny Wailer was crafting something entirely different, a meditation rather than a protest. Where Tosh roared, Bunny whispered. His song, titled "Black Heart Man," unfolded like a sacred scroll, delicate and introspective. It wasn't about shouting against the system, but finding peace within one's own spirit. The studio felt less like a workplace and more like a monastery. The same band that had walked beside Bob Marley lent their magic once again. Carlton Barrett's steady hands on the drums, Aston Barrett sculpting those slow, heavy bass lines, Bob himself providing soft rhythm guitar and haunting background vocals. The title track, "Black Heart Man," was the heartbeat of a misunderstood prophet, a wanderer branded an outcast for daring to be true. Each verse was soaked in humility. Each chord dripped with wisdom. Bunny didn't need to shout to move mountains. His quiet defiance spoke louder than fire. The album became not just a masterpiece, but a guidebook for the spiritual Rastaman seeking redemption through sound. And then there were the Mighty Diamonds, 3 young men from Trenchtown who transformed harmony into weaponry. Donald Tabby Shaw's silky tenor, Fitzroy Bunny Simpson's warm mid-range, and Lloyd Judge Ferguson's deep anchoring baritone blended like sunlight through stained glass. Their debut album, Right Time, captured the heartbeat of the ghetto, its suffering, its resilience, its unbreakable spirit. Sly Dunbar's drumming was relentless, every snare hit echoing the pulse of rebellion, while Robbie Shakespeare's bass line rolled like thunder beneath the storm. The trio's harmonies rose like angels over the revolution, carrying the cries of the poor, the hopes of the hungry, and the laughter of those who refused to give up. When they sang, "I need a roof over my head," it wasn't just a plea, it was scripture, sung by the saints of survival. The record may have lasted only half an hour, but those 31 minutes contained eternity. At the same time, Max Romeo walked into Lee Scratch Perry's Black Ark studio, and something supernatural began to unfold. The studio was a strange place, a fog of smoke, mirrors, and madness, where genius and chaos danced in circles. Lee Perry, barefoot and wild-eyed, was at the height of his creative insanity. He turned the mixing board into a spiritual instrument, twisting sound until it transcended the human. Max Romeo came in with words, fire in his heart and prophecy on his tongue, and together they birthed the song titled War Ina Babylon. The Upsetters laid the foundation, burning drums, ghostly organs, shimmering guitars. Out of that chaos came One Step Forward, Chase the Devil. Uptown Babies Don't Cry songs that walked the fine line between apocalypse and salvation. Max Romeo's voice trembled with righteous anger, warning a world that refused to listen. When he sang, "Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth," it wasn't metaphor, it was exorcism. The album became the soundtrack to a people's awakening, a call to arms dressed in rhythm and bass. Somewhere else in Kingston, the Abyssinians were shaping divinity into sound. Sata Masagana was no ordinary album. It was a hymn, a sacred chant captured in wax. Bernard Collins, Donald Manning, and Linford Manning sang like angels carved from the Ethiopian hills. Their voices laced with ancient sorrow and unshakable hope. The title track, Sata Masagana, which means give thanks, became the heartbeat of Rastafarian gatherings worldwide. It wasn't written for radio. It was written for Zion. Backed by Clive Hunt's visionary production, the music felt timeless. Sly Dunbar's drums whispered like ancestral spirits. Robbie Shakespeare's bass rumbled like the earth itself, and Mikey Chung's guitar shimmered like sunlight through clouds. Every song on the album carried prophecy, Forward onto Zion, Why Mas Gone, Lego Beast. It was reggae at its purest, spiritual, radical, and mystical. When the record spun, it felt less like listening to music and more like praying with your whole body. In the same golden year, the legendary U-Roy took the art of toasting and turned it into a revolution of its own. With Natty Rebel, he proved that the spoken word could ride rhythm just as powerfully as melody. His voice didn't sing. It danced, leapt, and flowed across the beat like a fire spreading through dry grass. Backed again by Sly Dunbar's precision drumming and Lloyd Parks's bass, U-Roy transformed the microphone into a pulpit. Babylon Burning, Go There Natty, and the title track were sermons delivered in syncopation, fusing Rasta wisdom with street wit. He wasn't just rhyming, he was baptizing the sound system generation in poetry and power. That album became a bridge, connecting the roots of traditional reggae to the birth of dancehall culture. His words were electricity, his presence pure command. With every version in Toast, he rewrote what it meant to be a voice of the people. And while Kingston pulsed with smoke and rhythm, the Gladiators were sculpting their own masterpiece from the dust of the ghetto. Trenchtown Mix-Up came alive with the grit and heartbeat of the streets. Albert Griffiths, the group's fearless leader, carried the wisdom of the working man in his voice, tough, weary, but unbreakable. He sang not from theory, but from survival. Having spent years as session musicians, the group had earned their scars. Now, signed to Virgin's frontline label, they poured every ounce of experience into this debut. The songs were rich with social commentary disguised in parable. Their songs titled Mix Up, Belly Full, and their unforgettable rendition of Soul Rebel stood as testaments to resilience. Griffith's pen wrote truth with elegance, his metaphors drawn from folklore and daily struggle. It wasn't a record of despair. It was a declaration that no system could crush the spirit of Trenchtown. And through all this, above the smoke, above the drums, above the chants, stood Bob Marley. In 1976, his message struck the loudest thunder with the album titled Rastaman Vibration. It was an album that took the fire of Jamaica and set the world agog. Marley was no longer just a singer. He had become the voice of the voiceless. The Wailers were at their sharpest, their synergy divine. Songs like War, Rat Race, Crazy Baldhead, and Johnny Was burned with righteous fury, confronting the hypocrisy of politics and the pain of the poor. Yet, amidst the militancy, there was joy tracks like Positive Vibration and Roots, Rock. Reggae danced with the spirit of celebration. Marley understood the balance of life. To oppose Babylon with fists of truth, but still find reason to smile beneath the Sunday. This was the album that carried reggae into the global consciousness, the record that made the world listen, not just dance. It climbed the Billboard charts and brought Rastafarianism from Kingston's hills to every corner of the earth. Marley wasn't chasing fame, he was fulfilling prophecy. When the dust of that miraculous year settled, something profound had changed forever. Reggae was no longer confined to Kingston's recording booths or the ghettos of Westmoreland. It had become a force of nature, a faith, a philosophy. 1976 wasn't merely a year of music. It was a spiritual awakening pressed into vinyl. From Peter Tosh's fearless defiance to Bunny Wailer's meditative introspection. From the Mighty Diamond's celestial harmonies to Max Romeo's apocalyptic fury. From the Abyssinians' hymns of Zion to U-Roy's rhythmic sermons. And from the Gladiators' street wisdom to Bob Marley's global roar, each album carried a spark of divinity. The sounds of that year didn't just entertain, they exorcised demons. uplifted the broken, and unified the divided. Every beat was a prayer, every lyric a prophecy. The island, though torn by violence, became the epicenter of spiritual revolution. What the politicians couldn't fix, the music healed, and in that healing, reggae transcended time. The echoes of 1976 still ring today in every sound system, every Rasta gathering, every corner of the world where truth meets rhythm. That year, reggae didn't just rise, it ascended. Now you understand why 1976 remains reggae's most powerful year. Tell me which album from this era resonates most with you. Let me know if you were aware of this hidden musical revolution. Share which artist from this period you believe had the greatest impact in the comments. Make sure to follow for more uncovered stories about music's most transformative eras.